Nobel Prize winner Joseph Stiglitz says 1% of Americans own a quarter of the country. The economist says the richest 1% of people have 25% of the wealth in America. He says at the World Economic Forum in Davos that the U.S. must do more to boost equality. He says the bottom half of American society must have more educational opportunities. He also calls for higher minimum wages and more collective bargaining power for workers. Stiglitz praises Brazil and the Scandinavian countries for promoting economic equality. Joining us now on the line from Berkeley, California, is political commentator Ralph Schoenman to discuss this a bit further. Mr. Schoenman, many thanks for joining us here on Press TV. Now, the main core of the solutions that Stiglitz is presenting is that of equality, economic equality. This is something that the American elitist system has worked very hard to ensure that it doesn't happen. What do you make of it?
Well, the structure of power has long demonstrated this enormous concentration of wealth. I mean, the national radio program that Maya Schoen and I have been producing in the United States for over a decade has constantly referenced the fact that 1% of the population owns more than 99% of the population combined. And these criteria of wealth are measured in many ways. 40% of all individual financial wealth or I should say 40% controls all individual financial wealth, but that's only the tip of the iceberg because that does not account for stocks and for the possession of property and of bonds and other indices of wealth that are hoarded. A recent study by Alternet went into greater detail in documenting that, in fact, the concentration of wealth is vastly greater than that. It's 0.1% that hoards most of the country's wealth. The inequality of wealth in the United States is beyond imagination, and 1,000th of 1% is in effective control of decisive amounts of wealth sufficient to make political decisions their own, funding the two political parties, which are what we call the one big property party with two names. So in this particular report by Alternet, the economic elite versus the people, they document how the economic top 1/10 of 1% has a decisive control, with most of that going to the top 100th of 1%.
Indeed. Now, let me just cut in here. We're quickly running out of time. Stiglitz has also said that what is needed is a higher minimum wages and more collective bargaining power for workers. Now, he's calling for more social protection coming from the government. But looking at the financial crisis and what has ensued after that, we've only seen very pro-neoliberal policies being enacted, which go against everything Stiglitz is calling for.
The basic problem that you're describing is reflected in the fact that the two political parties in the United States are financed by the same people, and the people who are engaged in activity in those political parties are essentially public relations personnel. They are hired hands. That's why we talk about the two parties as the one big property party with two names. What is required here is for the mass of the American people, working people, to have a party of their own. As Tony Mazzocchi, one of the leaders of the oil, atomic, and energy workers, had said at the time of the formation of the Labor Party, the bosses have two parties. We need one of our own. As long as the mass of our people are disenfranchised, the ability to challenge that concentration of power will evade us. We need a political instrument that reflects the needs of the masses of our population, is answerable to them, and which challenges the political parties, which are really the tool and the instrument of the 1/10 of 1% of our people.
Okay, that was political commentator Ralph Schoenman there joining us on the line from Berkeley, California. Many thanks indeed, Mr. Schoenman, for your comments here on Press TV.